I mean, Yujiro's goal or dream when it comes to his raw strength, he wants to have absolute power to where he wants to be stronger than the whole world, stronger than the whole planet. And somebody said, isn't that basically just called authority? No, Yujiro's not talking about that. He says it has nothing to do with economical power or with any kind of bureaucratic or law authority. He wants raw strength, just the pure physical power, fighting power, to be able to overpower the entire country of the world. That's his dream. I guess somebody got to be the top of the food chain. In a fighting anime filled up with a bunch of superhuman fighters, being the top dog of such universe is impressive. Yujiro Hanma, the strongest creature on Earth. How are you so strong to where all the creatures in the pyramid of strength went down a rank? Automatically, when Yujiro was born, he's a man that's considered stronger than machine guns. And he has to be under constant surveillance. The ogre, the father of Baki, which so happens to be the main character of the anime itself. Let's just say there's not many that can make Baki pee on himself, the main character. They made it pretty clear when it comes to the hierarchy, he's supposed to be at the top of the food chain. Not just with statements, but he actually backs it up with when we see him fight on screen. There's this mysterious genetic thing when it comes to the Hanma family. Yujiro has this special demon bat, kind of like a physiological transformations only this clan has, apparently, which could be part of the reason why he's so superhuman, but definitely not all the reason. There's characters that definitely don't have the same blood as these guys, but still do superhuman stuff. I mean, there's literally moves called the Mach punch, speed of sound punch. So yeah, superhuman stuff even without the demon bat. That's not the only reason why Yujiro's superhumanly strong. That's just how this universe works. Humans can do amazing things with hard work and dedication. But Yujiro seems to have extra perks on top of the superhuman base. They even go as far as saying he's the next step of human evolution. Now, here's the thing. The term strongest can be vague depending on what sort of media we're talking about. Strongest can mean a lot of things. Strongest could mean somebody that can lift the most weight or is a power lifter when it comes to strong, but that doesn't mean they're the strongest fighter in the world. There's beings that can punch harder than these guys, even though they can lift more weight. Not to mention there's beings that can punch harder than the strongest men in the world that can lift the most weight, and they weigh less. You know what I mean? So there's a difference. What does this Baki universe mean when they say the strongest? Well, quite simply, they quite literally mean the strongest in every regard when it comes to punching power or just muscles. Both of them, really. The further this video goes, you're going to see why that's true. He's apparently mastered every single martial art that exists in this world, even ones that are secret, really. A big part of the reason why he couldn't know all the fighting styles because he apparently only has to see it once to master it. The secret technique. I mean, I probably wouldn't know every fighting style in the world, too, if all I had to do was look at it once. He's that much of a talent. He's imitating everything perfectly. Just like Baki and other fighting anime type characters, Yujiro does get stronger and stronger as they're talking. His accelerated rate is fast too. In terms of martial arts, he's always improving. That's why they say his skills are second to none. I mean, Yujiro looks strong when it comes to his muscle and physique, but yeah, he's strong enough to lift up beings like Baki with ease, suplex them. After all, Baki is a lot smaller. I mean, most people can lift up stuff that's smaller than their own body. He can lift up a man and his wheelchair with one arm. He makes a habit of lifting up grown full-size men and tosses them like baseballs. Even when we're talking about smaller muscles on his body, like his wrist strength, his grip strength, which is not even his biggest muscles on his body, he still can break or crush coal into powder, bends the barrel of a gun. Like his raw finger strength, his grip strength can do this to a table. The raw grip strength to snap a sword with the pressure of his grip. That's a lot of hand strength. You know, tables are made to withstand a lot of weight, and he can like break the legs of the table by exerting enough pressure through it. Baki, they don't really explain this much, but his aura seems to be a theme in this universe when it comes to really strong fighters. Yujiro's implied to have this too. His aura technically has effects on real world or buildings and stuff like earthquake, like that kind of thing. This guy is inhumanly strong. I'm talking about people with battle suits, riot shields and stuff. Hundreds of men, he's pushing them back by himself. Guys, look at all of these men. Are you serious? That's raw power. There's other absurdly strong fighters in this Baki universe that could probably do that too. But let's compare Yujiro's raw muscle strength to other superhumans, like the strongest man in the United States, for example, of this universe, Biscuit Oliver. This pretty much proves what I mentioned earlier about when they said he's the strongest creature, they meant in all aspects, punching power and raw muscle. In like a contest of strength, this seems to be effortless without no demon back amplification. And you notice that the guy's size, he's actually bigger than Yujiro. That lets you know that size doesn't matter. Both are superhuman. But this guy, Biscuit, is strong enough to work out with helicopters that have official weights in real life. He can work out with stuff. I've actually Googled this. This weighs apparently 16 tons. And if Yujiro's stronger than this guy, off default, Yujiro should be able to lift massive vehicles like this that at least weigh 15 plus tons above his head with raw muscle, if he's above Biscuit or similar to his strength and just raw categories like that, off gate, this proves he can at least lift 30,000 pounds if we assume he can lift anything Biscuit can lift or more. I mean, we did see him overpower him in a contest of strength, so it makes sense. I want you guys to keep in mind that when people weightlift, it's not smart to weightlift with your max. So if Biscuit is lifting weights with this kind of weight, this is more than likely nowhere near his max. If this is like, if he's doing this for reps. So Yujiro can more than likely lift even heavier stuff than this. And it's kind of proven where we see Yujiro getting a contest with strength that's with somebody else that's bigger, this guy known as Pickle. He's like a being that's a prehistoric human being that is used to fighting literal dinosaurs, matches strength with this being known as Pickle, showing that, yeah, Yujiro is definitely stronger than what his size would suggest. This being's actually bigger than him in size, and he's used to fighting beings that are like literal dinosaurs. And Pickle himself, this being compares Yujiro, looks at Yujiro and starts thinking about T-Rexes when he has seen actual real ones. So that lets you know about Yujiro. Moments like this would suggest in raw strength, just like how Pickle is able to endure the weight and resist the weight with his muscle of a dinosaur this large. These actually have official weights of being 100 tons. This would imply Yujiro can more than likely lift 100 tons too, meaning that he can more than likely not only lift up helicopters like this, but actual 60+ ton tanks he should technically be able to lift up by default, being somewhere in that being's ballpark of matching dinosaurs and stuff. Pickle. Knowing Yujiro, he could probably lift this 80-ton dinosaur above his head, if we're being honest. 160,000 pounds, astronomical amounts of weight. We're talking about a guy that can lift thousands of times more weight than the strongest men in real life in the world. And a guy like this with fighting IQ, like off the charts. Some of this raw strength has to translate into punching power. Some of this could be just raw speed because he's superhumanly fast with how fast he can move his hands. And a part of this could be his actual muscles. Both put together, this can kind of give you a reason on why he can hit so hard. Similarly to how his son Baki can achieve burst speeds of 168 miles per hour, I'm talking about moving from point A to point B levels of speed. Not necessarily moving his limbs, but his like sprint burst speed. Because like these characters can't achieve these speeds for a long period, like very short bursts. It's still impressive that they can even achieve the speed temporarily. When you're this fast and strong, this could give you some reasoning on why he can hit so hard. Like these guys got guns out and he blitzes them before they can even do anything. Pulling out a bow and arrow on him is just a waste of time, or he'll just blitz you before the arrow gets a chance to go anywhere. These are manga panels, so it's kind of hard to measure how fast you are, but look at the distance he's away. And then the next panel, he's right behind him. You know, he can literally burst with so much speed, he can break his shoes. When you can vanish from people's eyesight and move like a blur, it can mean a few things. It can mean you literally are moving faster than I can see, or it means you can go from 0 to 20 or 30 miles per hour ridiculously fast. They don't even know what happened. With all this strength and all this speed, how fast can he punch? Like, well, his punches can get really fast. It can pierce sound itself, implying he can punch faster than the speed of sound, pressure that rip apart the air. It's implied he can punch or move his limbs this fast when it comes to his fist. Also, his legs, he can swing with this kind of speed. This can add more context on why he can hit so hard, implying he can move his limbs like this, like ridiculously fast. Let me put it that way. So off gate, there's implications he can punch faster than the speed of sound, but that's kind of just scratching the surface because there's weaker fighters that I think we all can agree that Yujiro is faster than, that can apparently hit at speeds 1,000 miles per minute, which is Mach 78. So the top tiers of the Baki universe should technically all by default be able to hit at speeds faster than 78 times faster than the speed of sound off default. Yujiro is literally at the top of the food chain. So saying he can only punch at the speed of sound is an oversimplification. More accurately, he should be able to punch at Mach 78 speeds as easy as day, since lower tiers can do that. He's the top of the food chain. This adds up if the statement is true about him claiming he can dodge actual lightning. That would actually add up with the fact about other characters being able to punch this fast. He can react to this. It's not like necessarily a punching speed feat, but I would think if he can move his whole body fast enough to move out the way of lightning, I would think his fist would be able to hit faster. You know what I mean? Lightning speeds is actually faster than Mach 78. If we were to assume he can punch at lightning speeds, we know he can react to it. That would mean his punches would be at, as a bare minimum, on the
Mach 200 levels of speed.
So when you hear him taking on creatures with all this speed and raw muscle lifting strength or punching power, when you see him take on things that weigh over a ton or super bears that can mess up in tanks, it starts making more sense when he can take on these fictional creatures in this universe that are probably stronger than our real life creatures, things that can mess up tanks. He can take this kind of stuff down. Yujiro with his fist could probably punch through these same tanks, you know, just like he's taking on these creatures, these abnormal creatures in this world. Poor creatures, I'm starting to feel bad for him. I mean, when you're this strong, no wonder he doesn't need no weapons. He uses his fist in wars, treating humans like paste. All these guards are too slow for his strength. and speed. Keep in mind, in this particular situation, he was only 16 years old, so you know he's stronger now. He's always training to get stronger. Yo. They even talk about it. He isn't the world's strongest creature for no reason. Baki talks about he can kill anything instantly, even wild beasts. They're talking about bears this large. Even if he was alive, they wouldn't be able to beat Yujiro. There's no organization on Earth that can arrest Yujiro. With all this strength, it makes sense for his body to be durable. They compare what he can withstand to like the strongest weapons. Like when it comes to modern technology or weaponry, they say Yujiro's above missiles, guns, tanks. Yujiro's above it all. People say his body doesn't feel like flesh at all, more like an impenetrable suit of armor. Countless opponents have died from a single slash of his sword. You're the first to withstand it. Obama claims he's harder than diamonds. This could imply a durability feat of him being able to withstand being sniped, or this could be just a raw speed feat. They don't believe nobody can snipe him with a bullet because of his combat speed. Because they talk about, oh, we can just shoot him from far away, right? But they say, that's not possible. Thanks to the treaty, the U.S. will be our enemy. But he said, even if it's the USA, if I alone snipe him, should I be able to do it, right? He said, no, that shouldn't be possible because the entire world who understands who this man is wouldn't dare to try that. So they're implying that either getting sniped in the head wouldn't work, the bullet wouldn't work, or he would just dodge it even in being sniped or something. It's implied to be either durability or speed feat, either or. Implied that a snipe won't hurt, like, won't kill him. I mean, Yujiro is inhumanly durable, so it could be a durability feat because if you try to snipe him, it might not work when you consider there's beings that use swords in this universe that can literally cut through vehicles, guys, chopping this crap in half. But he can't cut Yujiro, even though he hit him in the neck. After hearing all this stuff, is it really shocking when it comes to him punching men? He can punch their noses off. That's expected at this point, right? Like, this looks like some Homelander stuff, like from The Boys, punching beings' faces off with the weight of his punches or swings. Slices this guy's face off. This iron door he can kick off. No head for you with a strike. Strikes can slice desks. Riot shields he can punch through with his bare punches. Yeah. Whether it's kicks or punches, he will punch a door off its hinges. Like, look what he does warping it. His hits have so much weight, people think there's like bombs going off when he just simply strikes. You know how you see those karate people chop these things? It's Yujiro's turn to try to chop stuff like this. You get to see how much power he can produce doing all of this. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be slapped by this guy. There's no way you guys don't believe he can punch through a brick wall, but we literally see him do it. This should be a no-duh type moment. We literally seen him like match the strength of beings that can lift up 10-ton helicopters. He should be able to hit through brick walls like this. If he could theoretically lift 100-ton dinosaurs, I'm pretty sure his hits can hit this hard to hit through brick walls with his strikes. He can make the whole arena shake with the weight of his swings to where everybody in the audience feels it. That's how hard he can hit. He does this with his fists. Is this stuff shocking? Look at the wall. Yeah. Engraving beings in concrete. I mean, look how cars act when he punches near the car. The weight of his swings can warp the car, breaking the car in half. The weight of his swings flipped the car. I mean, Yujiro's consistently concrete digging. I mean, he really is like a one-man army. I mean, he been chopping through stuff like security gates and stuff. Creatures in real life that you would normally need a gun to take out. Yujiro doesn't need such things. He does it with his bare hands, even if they're massively larger than him. And there's like creatures in this universe, abnormally large, mythical looking creatures that the military, like you see, it was soloing actual tanks and stuff, like stuff that can level buildings and stuff. It's literally soloing these things. They even gave us official numbers of this creature. It was 21.5 tons that was soloing military, defying all logic. And guess what? Yujiro got in a one-on-one fight with this creature on his own and slaughters this giant creature. The stuff I brought up earlier about him being able to match a guy that's a prehistoric human that can match 100-ton or close to 100-ton, 60, 80-ton dinosaurs should have already proved he can punch and make buildings fall over with that alone. But I don't know how much more obvious it gets. Like this apparent aura he has, this seems to be like, what, chi or something? Who knows? But he can basically shake an entire skyscraper. This pretty much should prove if he really wanted to punch one apart, he could. Literally just getting mad and shaking the entire building when everybody on different floors feel it. That's how much raw power he's producing off. So what do you think an actual punch from him can do? With his actual punches, I don't see no reason why he wouldn't be able to shake the entire building or just simply punch the entire building down if he really wanted to. Well, he did do this to an entire arena. floor, so it kind of does make sense. Baki, Yujiro's son, is really good at making illusions. He made an illusion of Yujiro, right? Baki himself even said it's no good. It's hard to imagine an illusion being stronger than the real one, Yujiro's illusion has this much punching power, guys. What do you think the real one can do? I know it's a little gaggy, but this pretty much proves he could shake entire city blocks. Beings all over the place can feel an earthquake covering all of this radius. This can give you an idea of what Yujiro can punch with the force to tremble a whole bunch of city blocks all at once where people think it's a freaking earthquake going on. Yeah, he could definitely strike hard enough to blow away your block. Like, you see the epicenter of an illusion, him making an earthquake around these blocks. All these different people over here can feel it. And how hard do you think Demon Back Yujiro can do? Oh, it just increases everything we know about him, but even further. I mean, this is the same guy that can shake your head so hard and fast where you pretty much end up in heaven or the afterlife just for this raw power he can just generate to you. Soul leaving your body and crap. There was this earthquake going on and Yujiro said, don't interfere with what I'm going through. Earthquake, I'm gonna need you to stop. So he punches with so much energy and apparently stopped the earthquake with his fist. In the lore for Baki, when they're talking about this earthquake stuff, it was compared to like actual major events. And like we actually have legit calculations or measurements of stuff like this. This was technically a category 6 earthquake at the very least. So just like this illusion feat of him making an earthquake via illusion, his real self has technically done something similar to this or even way greater. Like, you see where they're standing? Like, all this stuff back here is shaking and everybody here can feel it. So it's a pretty wide radius being taken up. I personally asked AI, they came up with calculations that if this was a magnitude 7 earthquake, this could possibly produce up to 1 million tons of force if those calculations by AI are legit. It kind of adds up though when you consider the fact that there's buildings out here that can weigh over hundreds of thousands of tons. He's shaking way more than just 1 or 2 or 3 buildings. Like, the earthquake is shaking more than just 1 or 2 buildings. It's covering a wide radius. Saying they can hit with millions of tons of force makes some sense. And he apparently stopped it with a single freaking punch. That's some crazy magnitudes of punching power. If you still want to be disrespectful, this has to be at least over in the hundreds of thousands of tons of force range still. I mean, then they even have even greater statements of them comparing him to nuclear bombs and crap. Like, yeah, sure, this may seem a little bit over the top, but when you consider what they're comparing him to, this feat starts to make more sense when you start hearing them comparing him to the world's mightiest weapons and stuff. I mean, this guy got struck by lightning and was good after being hit by it. Strike. The strongest weapons in the world can't measure up to his brute strength. They're not even sure if a nuclear bomb could. They're not exactly saying this is like an absolute, he would be able to tank it, but they got to test it on him first, they say. They're not even sure if a nuke will work on him or not. So when you hear the million-ton punching power stuff, and then when you know that nukes can produce millions of tons of force, you see how it kind of starts adding up. Like 1 megaton is 1 million tons. You see what I mean? 2 megatons is 2 million tons. You know what I'm saying? Nukes can produce millions of tons of force. When you see the energies producing, making earthquakes, producing millions of tons of force, making magnitude earthquakes stop, it starts to make more sense. Stopping magnitude 6 and 7 earthquakes, that kind of adds up to the strongest weapons in the world. Like, I don't want to overhype him. Maybe he can hit as hard as a mini nuke, like maybe 1 million tons. I'm not going to necessarily say he can hit with 50 million tons. 50 megatons is like 50 million tons of force. Like, I don't want to be an overhyper. So even if you don't want to say he can produce 50 million tons of punching power, they are comparing him to certain nukes to some degree. Maybe a smaller nuke, maybe a 1 million ton nuke or something. Sounds more accurate. That would still be ridiculously insane. That's still 2 billion pounds. Like, imagine 2 billion pounds of force coming at your face with a fist. Like, your head is gone. That city block stuff starts to make more sense when you start thinking about the lower level nukes and how strong the lower level nukes are. You know what I mean? So just imagine a guy that can hit with millions of tons of force, and if he transforms using his demon back, all of this is just amplified even more. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think he can hit with the force of a mini nuke? Maybe not the largest nuke, maybe a smaller nuke. So 1 million tons of force, 2 million tons, that part seems fair. He has more than one earthquake feat that shakes like a town's worth or village worth of buildings, or more than one city block. Like, you know what I mean? It kind of starts to add up. Imagine him with demon back. I mean, he is the strongest creature in the world, but what do you guys think? He's powerful as heck and his son is powerful when people are comparing conflicts between father and son to conflicts between nations and crap, guys. This nuke stuff starts to make a lot more sense. Maybe lower level nukes, mini nukes. These two talking in the same room. They got to make a perimeter around this area so people don't get near it. That's how dangerous these two are. It's a legit danger zone for normal people, like a conflict this heavy. Usually when you see stuff like this, you're usually about to enter a war zone you're not supposed to go, or something like unauthorized place. Animal instincts tells lions not even to try to pull up to him because he's the strongest creature in the world. Different species fall, like you've seen a million times in this video. The army feared him. He's the peak of strength, the pinnacle of physical force. In a war zone against guns, weapons, and knives, this guy literally taking on the country of the United States with his bare fists. But I hope you guys enjoy. Is he about as strong as you thought? Do me a favor and hit that like button for me real quick. Yujiro believes you should too. It would really help out a lot. But before I get going, I have no choice but to say thanks for the donations, everybody. Respect Yujiro Hanma, the ogre, the strongest creature. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.